A couple of years ago, I had to make ends meet fast as I was actually living off of a 6-month buffer. After that buffer was up, I had to make a living doing something. I found some videos online talking about Etsy and print on demand, so I decided to give that a go. And after a few months of actually doing Etsy print on demand and just digging myself deep into the YouTube rabbit hole, money was actually pouring in after just 1 to 2 hours of work each day. Yeah, that's actually not true. But this time, where I'm at right now, I'm actually doing about like at maximum like 1 to 3 hours of work each day. During Q4, it's a lot more. And I do have an Etsy business that does over 6-figure profits each year. But it didn't really start off that way. And in the beginning, I had to learn all of the ins and outs of the business. And it did not only come from just watching a couple of YouTube videos and just doing a couple of hours of work each week. So in this video, everyone's time is limited. And if you're out there watching this and you want to make your life freer with print on demand, I'll outline the 5 principles that will let you know if you're on the right path. Let's get into it. All right, so side hustles are distractions. What I've learned so far in my 30 years of living is that what you get in is also what you get out. And you can't really focus on like 1 or 2 things at a time. You can only focus on one thing to actually master something up to a degree before you can take on something else. So knowing that like side hustles in and of itself, at least how I'm perceiving it, is that it's something that you do like a couple of hours each week. You kind of learn it on a whim when you have time. But the problem with all of this is that you can't really master anything or get good at anything if you're not like being all in on something and really obsessing over it. Because it really takes that dedication to actually make something work. For me, I had to make it work. As I mentioned at the beginning, I had like a buffer of 6 months, and after that I had to make it work. I believed it could be done, which was a crucial part too, and that was because I saw videos online where people just talked about the whole thing and their own success with it, and I saw like success stories all over the YouTube, but I still knew that I had to go all in on this to make it work. Like being successful at something comes from like so many failures. Like Etsy especially, like looking back at it now, came just from putting up tons and tons of listings, literally thousands of listings, and having none of them worked, but getting better each time you do something. And I feel it's the same thing for me here on YouTube. I have a journey to go on here. I'm still very new, but with each and every video, I'm trying to get better. As you can now see, I have a bit of a better background. I have better quality lighting and hopefully better quality videos as well. But the point is that you have to really get obsessed with something. At least I feel that I needed to be obsessed with something to actually do the required work to get good. And you can only get good by like small marginal improvements. So it's really important to just focus on one thing, as that's at least in my experience, it's been the only way to really obsess over something and to get exponential results as you grow. Because in the beginning, like for instance here on YouTube, nothing is like, it's not giving me much back, but I know that in due time it will, as long as I keep doing it and get better. But that also leads me into the second part, which is, what is your why? And things overall always get hard. Like it's gotten hard for me on YouTube, got hard for me on Etsy. At a certain point, it gets difficult to actually achieve something because of the obstacle that you're facing. And there's just tons of obstacles with every like endeavor. And that leads just into that you have to have something else that drives you past it. Like in my experience, money has never like been a driving factor for me. Even though I talk a lot about it, I do it mainly as a way to show you guys that I actually know what I'm talking about. That is why I'm mentioning the profits that I've made. But money has never really been a driving factor for me. I don't spend much money at all, honestly. It's only like this year that I've spent some money. Like I spent this on the background that you see here for this whole YouTube channel. And apart from that, I was in Japan at late 30th celebration. But apart from that, I don't spend that much. That's really just because it doesn't really, like, it gives a lot of safety, of course, and it enables you. But I mean, like what you do day to day is more important than like how much money you make, in my opinion. So what I really want to get through is that having a why you actually do something. Let's say that you really want to get out of the 9-to-5 grind, not having that kind of a job and living that kind of life. That was really important to me. So you might feel the same. And that can definitely be your why, because then you know that you have something that you can like fear that will happen again, and you just have to work towards this life that you're actually building. But it's that kind of thing, knowing what kind of life you don't want, that can drive you to get the life that you actually do want. And the great thing about this too is that when you don't know what you actually don't want, at least in my experience it's been like this, when you don't know and you're clear about what you don't want, then that makes it easier to know what exactly you do want. Because then you might not know exactly, like for instance, I'm a musician. That's a big part of my life. That's been a huge part of my life overall. and something that I'm still pursuing. But Etsy and now YouTube and music has given me a free way to live my life in order to actually do creative stuff. And once you're actually on the path and you actually took the step, at least in my experience has been like this, you actually took the step and you went all in on it, like there's no turning back, you burned the boats, then at least in my experience, I discovered new things with myself that I found interesting. And because I have this grand vision that I want to achieve and I'm just steering towards that. And the weird thing is that as I grow, that grand vision tends to change a bit, expand a little bit, because I get to know myself more and more the older I get. But just taking that first step is just a huge thing in the right direction to actually get to where you want. And that's why it's super important to just have some kind of why that will lead you into the right direction to where you actually want to go in life. If you found some value in this video, please hit that like button and subscribe, and hit that bell's notification button as well, as that helps the algorithm on YouTube to know that you actually like the video and it will push it to other people. I'm trying to help as many people as I can with Etsy print on demand. So in return for doing this, I'll make sure to give you the best Etsy print on demand content that I can possibly make. Now, let's get back to it. The next part of the equation here is actually getting good. So with any type of endeavor, in my experience at least, it's been that you basically, like for instance with Etsy, for me, I can't draw, but I saw other people here on YouTube and that were successful with it. They couldn't draw either. But the principle of getting good is still the same. When I started this endeavor, I was really bad, just like anyone else. But just like anything, if you just go at it, like you put up designs up, you try to make stuff better each day, and you just devote yourself to this one thing for a specific time period, then you will get good at after a certain point, as long as you follow the equation of just putting stuff up on Etsy and nothing is working, but you're still putting stuff up, you're still trying your best. And then after a certain period, let's say that you put up like 50, 100 listings. After that point, you might reflect and go, okay, this hasn't worked. Why hasn't this worked? What could be done better? Is it the design? Is it like the lead times in the listing? What is it that doesn't equate to sales here? And then you try stuff again. But those two things, which I would basically classify as a pain, like putting 50 to 100 listings up, having nothing working, that would equate to pain. And then reflection, which would be like take after like a 50 to 100 sales, looking at your store saying, what is not working here? Why am I not getting sales? And then you're reflecting on it here to see what could be done better. And then you try new stuff. And that equates to progress. As long as you follow those two things, like putting stuff up, trying, and then just reflecting on what didn't work and try to get better after that. And then when you try to get better, you implement that going forward. That in my experience has always led to progress. And that's actually a quote from Ray Dalio, but it's something that I really live by and have lived by because it really, really works. So there's always some kind of bottleneck in the business. And in the beginning, it's always the entrepreneur itself. That's been my experience at least. But just being able to diagnose what thing isn't actually working and then just try to get better at that specific thing. Or if you can, hire someone to do that specific thing. But if you can, just try to get better at that specific thing. Let's say that no one is clicking your listings, then it's probably either a markup issue or it's a design issue. Most likely it's a design issue. That's usually the case. Then just trying your best to see how you can improve your designs is a great way to going forward. And do note that design, I still can't draw, but do note that designing does not mean drawing. It just means that you find best-selling elements within really good selling listings. Let's say that you find 4 listings here, and then you basically see that they have really different elements in all of them. One has a retro design, one has a college design, one has like a cursive design, and then you can just combine all of these into one design and create something new. Like you can do this easily in a program like Canva. I use that and have used that for a long time now, and it works really great. You can just choose a cursive font, choose a college font or a retro font, and then just combine the elements that you found were best selling on Etsy. If you want to learn more about like designs and stuff, I've made a video about that, going through that extensively, so I'll link that here. But that leads me to the last part, and that's doing more overall reflection of the whole thing. Let's say that you are doing quite well and that you have done some sales, but you're not really at the level that you want to be at. Like for instance, in the beginning, I wanted to hit 5K in profit each month. And it took me a while to get there. Each step of the way just required always required me reflecting on what could be done better, and then just hitting those things that I found could be done better. And after a certain threshold of it just getting better, you basically hit the goals that you want. Like let's say that you have a total of 100 sales in your shop, and this one sells like 2 to 3 times a day. which is really good for that amount of total sales in a shop. Now, in this case, like taking a step back, not listing more items is a great thing. If you have like over 100 listings or over 1,000 listings, and you're at a stage where you're not making like more than 100 sales, it's really important, like I mean in total, and you're just making like 2 to 3 sales a day and you want to make a lot more, then it's just really important to take a whole step back here, as I mentioned it earlier, and just reflect. And this time is a more overall reflection of the whole shop. Ask yourself, what can be done better? What has gone right? What has gone wrong? What can be done better here? I've talked a lot about this on my channel, but the Hormozy value equation is a great thing to reference when it comes to this. If you order something on Amazon, you want it usually as fast as possible. And if you have a really long shipping and processing time, that's a huge thing that offsets customers. So just comparing yourself, your own lead times to other shops that you know also do print on demand, and comparing your own lead times to your like average delivery times. Let's say that they ordered here at this date and then they got delivered it at this date, and then you take like 30 of those listings. So like you take like the bulk of like 30 listings, that if you have that, take the bulk of this and you just see that most of them have around like similar time frames from when they got ordered to when they got delivered. You take the average that and just implement that within the listing. If your shipping times is longer than that, then definitely reduce them so that they're actually accurate to what you're actually providing, as the lead times, like the processing and the shipping times, are super important to actually get sales. But just looking at every aspect of this, are you listing your stuff at break-even pricing? Is this a reason why you're not achieving rank? Are you trying on Etsy ads profitably, not like losing money on it, but is that something that could be experimented with to try and garner some growth? Maybe trying out different design styles to see if there's any better type of design styles that could actually be found. Have you doubled down on the niches that actually worked for you to get to 100 sales? When I mean by doubling down, like there's two things that you can do when you're doubling down on a niche. Have you put up more designs within the niche that you're actually selling in? Have you gone to other sub niches within the niche? Let's say that you like have done really well with a niche, with a nurse niche. Have you expanded yourself to all the different nurse niches within it, is so that you can actually expand? If it works well in one type of nurse niche, then it can probably work well in another type of sub niche within nurses. But just taking an overall step back, not listing. If you do like the same thing wrong over and over, then it's not good. But I mean, you still have to put the ropes in. But once you know that something is wrong, then it's really important to just take a step back, see what can actually be done better. Maybe ask someone, if you can, that knows more about Etsy and print on demand, if they actually can provide you some feedback on what can be done better. But just important to just take a step back, reflect on what can be done better, and then implement the stuff and try out new things here and there to see what can be done better and to improve the listing and the shop overall. And then doing this like repetitively, once you know what to improve, you improve that, you try that, and then you just iterate on what you have. Like let's say that you want to improve again a couple months after you've tried out the new implementations, but after a certain point, at least in my experience, you kind of always raise the bar for your shop and you just get better and better and better. And at the end of it all, you get so good that you will have exceeded your goals. At least that's been my experience. All right, so if you want to learn more about print on demand and Etsy, I suggest watching this video right here. And if there's any videos that you want to see next, just drop a comment down below and I'll do my best to help out. I'll see you in the next one.